الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد. My dear respected brothers and sisters, a Sahabi named Hazrat Jabir bin Sulaim radiyallahu anhu, he narrates this hadith, and this hadith is in Sunan Abi Dawood. He is the experience that he had gone through with the first visit with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He narrates it, and the advices in that first meeting with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has given to him, he mentions it in the hadith. And if we look into these advices, among these advices there is only one advice that is for himself. If we truly look at it, himself meaning for himself to practice. But the other advices that he mentioned is social. It's very important to understand this, that we socialize with each other in our life, that relate, those advices relate to them. So we can understand how important it is to take those advices and practice them, so that if those advices we are practicing, there will be no problems in the society. So when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to Madinatul Munawwara after Hijrah, people started coming to meet him, to visit him, to listen to him. And even the mushrikeen and different religious people, they were coming and listening to him. So Hazrat Jabir bin Sulaim radiyallahu anhu, he also came and he saw that there is a man who came from Makkah to Medina, and many people are surrounding him, gathering with him and listening to him, listening to his advice. And not only listening, but holding on to his advices, his teachings. So he was surprised. It's that whatever he told the people, they took it seriously and they are applying it in their life. Who is this man? It was very amazing for Hazrat Jabir radiyallahu anhu. So he came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he saw when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying something, they did not even question him, why this and why that, and they're listening and they're taking it with them. And people said that this is a prophet of Allah, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Hazrat Jabir went to his gathering and said, Alayka salam ya Rasulullah. So when a person is coming, approaching someone, and maybe we can think that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will give him an advice of Tawheed, the main, basic, our fundamental beliefs. Tawheed, Risalat, preaching the oneness of Allah. Look, Allah is one, He doesn't have any partners. I am the Prophet of Allah. Many prophets came. About the Akhirah, because mainly about the hereafter, they were rejecting this idea, this belief. So that is why there is so much emphasis in the Quran about the Akhirah, the proofs, the clear proofs Allah time to time keep on giving. But none of these teachings Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has mentioned. So when he came, he said, Alayka ya Rasul, Assalamu alayka ya Rasulullah. No, Alayka salam ya Rasulullah. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught him the correct way to say salam, the eloquent way to say salam, the correct way that a believer greets another believer. So it means that when you see something, you see someone doing something against Quran and Sunnah, against the Sharia, saying something or doing something, it is our responsibility to tell him in a polite way, to remind him in a polite way that brother or sister, this is not the way, this is the way. Even if we think it's minor. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam right away at that time corrected him that Alayka salam is not the proper way to greet, it is Assalamu alaikum or Assalamu alayka. If it's one individual, Assalamu alayka. If it's many, Assalamu alaikum. And usually we say Assalamu alaikum even to a individual person. Is more respect in it. It is just like in Urdu we say tum or aap. Tum or aap. So aap is kum. More respect, giving more respect to that person. So the first thing that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how important this was for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to give this advice to him. And this advice is not only for that person, that individual at that time. This advice is for us as well till the day of judgment. It means that when we are greeting one another, if we look at it, that is actually a dua that we're giving to one another. This is a prayer. Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. This is a dua. So it means that if we are greeting someone wrongly with a wrong word, then that word can change. And when the word changes, the meaning changes. So understand? This is common sense. That is why in the days, the enemies of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they used to word Samu alaikum. Not as-salam, with Sam, with minus the lam in between. Samu alaikum. In Hebrew, Sam means death. Right? It means death. So they used to say Assalamu alaikum. So they are thinking that the Arabs don't know the meaning, we do. So imagine, sometimes people, they don't even correctly say Assalamu alaikum to one another. What kind of response that we are going to give that person? Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu. This is sometimes we do. We don't even properly say Assalamu alaikum. This is the correct way. Arabic is a very sophisticated language. If we change some words or letters and this up and down, the harakat, it changes the word. So we should be very careful. This is what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is educating us, that when you are greeting your Muslim brother or sister, say Assalamu alaikum correctly, so that the dua can be given, not the opposite.
What's the meaning of salam? Salam.
Assalamu,
No,
peace.
Salam. Salam.
Sam, death.
Salam. S-A-L-A-M. What's the meaning of that?
Salam, peace.
Peace.
Yeah, peace. So, the first thing Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has taught us, this. So now from today, please, when we are greeting, make sure that we Say Assalamu alaikum very clearly to that brother or sister. So there are some advices in this hadith. Very beautiful hadith. These are golden advices. We should listen and we should take it home and practice it. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam went on and said to Jabir, "La tasubunna ahadan." Do not curse anyone. Isn't it this advice for a society? That we live in a family, we live with family and friends and relatives and society, neighbors, co-workers. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said what? La tasubunna ahadan, that do not abuse or curse anyone. Ahadan. Absolutely no one. This is what it means. Ahadan is nakira. Absolutely no one. Whether it's a human being or whether it's an animal. Hazrat Jabir radiallahu anhu said, after listening to this advice, my whole life I did not curse anyone or abuse anyone. I did not use any words, even to an animal. These people were shepherds. They had animals in those days. Horses, cows, camels, goats, sheep. And people, they used to hit the animals and they used to curse and use these words. So, la tasubunna ahadan. What a beautiful advice. That when we are talking, we are saying, we get angry sometimes. Many times in our daily life we get angry. But it doesn't mean that we curse and we use bad words. This is a direct advice to me and you. Every single hadith, every single word of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he has said 1400 years ago. But when we read the hadith, it is directing to us. And it will be directing till the day of judgment. So, la tasubanna ahadan, that do not curse anyone. So many divisions, so many problems are created just because of this tongue that we use. Family units, family breaks, the society breaks by just this tongue. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this tongue. This is a favor of Allah that He has given. And this tongue should be used for the zikr of Allah, for goodness, for good words, for kind and loving words for each other. But unfortunately, there are people, they use this tongue to hurt one another, some other people. This is their goal. This is the planning. It is said people plan that what kind of word should I use, what kind of sentence should I use so that I can hurt that individual, that I can break the heart. There are some people in their day-to-day lives, in their they use adjectives to another people. You're stupid, you're foolish, you're ignorant. So these words, maybe they're minor, but for that, ask that person how it felt. We should ask that person how it felt using these words. If someone says, "Hey, don't use this word stupid," or this, no, is this stupid? It's nothing. I didn't mean nothing. But ask that person who you have said to him. How can we, a true Muslim, that from our tongues and our hands people are getting hurt? There's a hadith in Sahih Muslim. Hazrat Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrates that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Al-Muslimu man salima an-nasu min lisanihi wa yadihi, and wal-mu'minu man aminahu an-nasu min dima'ihim wa amwalihim." Beautiful. We forget this. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that a Muslim, this is a definition of a Muslim, is the one whose tongue and his hands are free from hurting another person. And a mu'min, a believer, is the one that the lives and the wealth of others are safe. That when if someone is in the company of a Muslim, he feels safe. That the Muslim will not harm, the Muslim will not hurt. Unfortunately, but this what has, in our family system, spouses, even to our children, so many things we do. We don't even think about it, we don't even regret. Nowadays, children are saying things to their parents they're not supposed to say. Hurtful things. How can a Muslim hurt their parents? So these things, لا تسبن أحدا. This is a very small sentence. But if you want to go in detail, volumes can be written of books. If someone wants to write it down, this explanation of just this one sentence, small sentence, لا تسبن أحدا. That do not abuse anyone. The second, number 2, advice. لا تحقرن من المعروف شيئا. So I mentioned this last Friday. That لا تحقرن من المعروف شيئا. That do not underestimate any good deed. I did mention this. Any good deed, any deed that you get the opportunity to do it right away. In another hadith it is mentioned, كل معروف صدقة. كل معروف صدقة. That every goodness is a sadaqah. Number 3, whenever we meet a Muslim or we meet an individual, a person, meet him with a smiling face. That's the third advice. Isn't that, look, a society, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is creating love within a society. That do not use any bad words towards anyone. Any good, you get the opportunity, you do it. You help each other, you help one another. This is goodness. Whenever a person needs help, you help. Number 3, when you meet someone, you meet with a smiling face. If you know that person, you do not know that person, you meet them with a smiling face. This creates love and a bond into the hearts. Compare, if a person comes in and your face is red and in anger, and it's like, how would that person feel? That vibe. And you see, he didn't meet me properly. But if a person meets with a smiling face, with an open arm, it's totally different. The environment will be totally different. Piety is not that you meet a person with a dry face. So many people who starts practicing Islam, they're just very serious. This is not Islam. Rasulullah sallallahu, one of the Sahabi said, whenever I looked upon Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was always in a smiling face. If you look into that hadith, he doesn't say that whenever he looks at me, he's smiling. No. He's saying that whenever I gaze towards him, I just look towards him in any way that he's not looking at me, I always find him in a smiling face. Can you imagine? All the responsibility that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had on his shoulders. The responsibility of giving the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And thinking always that how can I save each and every soul from Jahannam. In the night when he used to stand in prayers, he used to make dua, he used to cry. His beard gets all wet of crying for this ummah. Right? But whenever you looked at him, he had a smiling face. A small incident happens in our life. Look at our attitude. A minor incident, we cannot compare. A minor incident, and all of a sudden, that's it, we are now. No one can go near that person. Start screaming and this and that, and so, how can you approach that person? A minor incident happens. So this is a very important, when something happens, when we are meeting with each other with an open arms and a smiling face, this is also a sadaqah. We go back to that second advice, kullu ma'rufin sadaqah. Even a smiling face is a sadaqah. It's free. We don't have to pay for it. It's free. And when we have more ikhlas in our meeting with brother, it can, more than Allah will multiply it. Right? Just like assalamu alaikum, how many? 10. You get 10 rewards. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, 20. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, 30. You get back. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu wa maghfiratuhu, 40. And so on and so on and so on. Number 4. Rasulullah, this is the one that I was talking about, that is for an individual, for my own self. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, do not lower your garments beneath the ankles. Our garments, whatever we are wearing, pants, trouser, shalwar, even the jubbah that I'm wearing, it should be above the ankles. Even if it's slight above, at least do it. It is not nafil. It is not optional. This hukum of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is wajib. We need to understand this. And this hukum is only for men, not for women. So this is something individual. Always, and some people, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that this is a sign of takabbur if someone has it beneath the ankle. So if a person says, I do put it, but I don't have any takabbur in me. By saying that, this is takabbur. If someone is thinking about this, no, I don't have. This is takabbur. And this is our belief. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Can we even think about that he had arrogance in him? Aliyazu billah? Never. He was the most ajiz insan, human being. He used to uncover his ankles. All the Sahaba did. So this is not only for the salah, this is for the daily life. We should try, even if it's a little up, it's uncovered, it is wajib. The last advice, very quickly, again, for the society, so that society does not break. And we can understand that this advice, because when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam migrated to Medina, a new society was being built, right? The Sahaba who left, the Muhajirin, left everything and coming to a new city, to a new place. So the laws and the way of life is being built. So this advice was to create love and kindness with each and every person. There were people who did not know each other, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made ukhuwat, bhaichargi, brotherhood between them. The Ansar invited them into their house, into their businesses. We know this. So many things can come up, many words, and being human beings. We can't, with brothers and sisters it happens, with spouses it happens, natural. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in a beautiful way, in a kind way, he is teaching us that these things can happen, but it doesn't mean that you lose control. you started using bad words, you started cursing at people. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if somebody comes to you and makes fun of you, criticizes you, and if whatever fault that is in you, and he mentions that faults to others, let's say you don't have that fault, or you have it, do not retaliate. Do not retaliate, and do not find a fault in him and you announce that fault to others. Do not retaliate. Swallow. Be patient. It's not easy. It's hard. But Inna Allah ma'a sabirin. Allah did not say to other good deeds that Allah is with those who give sadaqah. Allah is with those who perform salah. Allah used Allahu ma'a sabirin with sabr. That Allah is with those who are patient. In many places in the Quran. A person who comes with the intention to mock you or pointing out some faults in you, you do not do the same with him. You be quiet. You do not find faults in him and share it with others. What you should do is that if there is a fault in you, you should fix your own self. If truly a fault is in you, instead of fighting, arguing, cursing, what you should do, you should think, okay, yes, I do have this fault in me, shortcomings in me, I should fix myself. Instead of hiding that fault. You say something, I will say something, it will never end. It will get worse. So to calm that situation, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, take it easy. If someone is doing something, it doesn't mean that you should do the same. Then what would be the difference between me and that person? No difference. So such beautiful advices of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These advices is not only for that time. These advices is for till the day of judgment. For each and every person, this advice that is given to Hazrat Jabir, it is given to Umar Farooq. It is given to each and every one, every brother and sister in Islam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to understand and act upon it. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.